Good morning, dear student. Today we are going to start the new chapter, that is human capital formation. Now, what is the role of human capital? What is human capital and how it is formed? In this chapter, we are going to discuss about the human resources (HR). In business studies, you might HR manager, human resource manager. Remember, my dear student, physical factor rather than physical factor, the human factor plays a very important role. Now, how? Remember, physical factors, machinery, land, they cannot give you the profit and the loss, but human capital can you is totally responsible for making loss and making profit. That's why nowadays you might be seeing very big multinational companies, and a good entrepreneur always having the human resource manager for tackling the human and physical factor. Both are different. That's why human resources have to be tackled with very seriously and optimally, so that the survival of an entrepreneur is totally depend upon, we can say, totally depend upon the human resource rather than the physical resources. Again, I'm telling you, physical factor neither gives you loss or profit, but human factors can. If you have the good machinery but human resource, or your machine operator is if unskilled, then definitely the machine is going to damage your profit. If you do not have the machine, but if you have the dedicated working force, human resources, your organization can progress by leap and bounds. In this chapter we are going to discuss about this. Now, human resources are vital from the point of view of economic development. A development of a region, of a nation, of a society totally depends upon the quality of the human residing in it. In the modern world, all the planners believe that building a strong nation depend upon the development of people and the organization of human activity. So, if you want to develop a society, so there should be a human capital formation. If these resources is developed properly, it can do wonder. If you have the skilled laborers, then without land we can do agriculture in the sea, and we can explore the land beyond the moon and Mars, and there are definitely other areas. The development of human resources means increase in the quality of human beings skilled, which help in the process of growth and development of the country. In Okay, physical capital and human capital. Now, physical, if we talk about the four factor of production, LKSO, labor and organization, entrepreneur, two are the human capital, whereas land and capital, machinery, these are the physical factor like plant, machinery, factory, building, raw material. The physical capital is needed to make use of the physical resources. Its accumulation is quite important for economic growth. Remember, physical factors are also necessary, but more important is to human capital. The ownership of physical capital is outcome of the conscious decision of the owner. The entrepreneur possesses knowledge to calculate the expected rates of return to a range of investment. Remember, human factor is also collect all the physical factor to achieve a predetermined goal. For achieving a goal, human resources collect all the physical resources. The physical capital formation is mainly an economic and a technical process. It is technical and economical process. Now, human capital, it refers to the stock of skill, ability, expertise, education, and knowledge embodied in the people. Human capital simply means the skilled by them, expertise, knowledge, education, and these all is called the human capital. Human capital is needed to make effective use of physical capital. without human capital, physical capital, use of the physical capital is impossible. There is a need for investment in human capital to produce more human capital out of human resources, more. If we have the proper system to convert it into more human capital, then development is required. For this purpose, investment is required. Just you are going to school, you are getting the education, that is also human capital formation. Okay, societies need sufficient human capital in the form of competent people who have themselves been educated and trained as other professionals, just like doctors, engineers, manager, nurses. All these professional comes in the category of human capital. Now let's compare between the human capital and the physical capital. Okay, uh, physical capital is tangible and can be easily sold in the market, but human capital is intangible because it's related with skill, knowledge. All these are qualitative and all these are attributes of human. That's why it cannot be sold in the market. It depreciate with the passage of time. Physical capital, within a passage of time, it depreciate, but depreciation of human capital can be reduced by making continuous investment in education, training and health. But yeah, human capital can human capital can be reduced by making continuous investment. Depreciation in human capital can be reduced, though human capital can be reduced if proper training, proper education and the proper skill is not provided accordingly. It is more between countries, it is more mobile between the countries, it moves from one country to another country. Human capital is less mobile between countries as compared to the physical capital. Human capital in compare of physical capital is less mobile. Physical capital like machinery can be separated from its owner. It has a separate entity from the owner, but human capital cannot be separated from the owner. Now physical capital is the outcome of conscious decision of the owner and mainly an economic and technical terms, whereas formation of human capital is partially a social process. It's a social process and the conscious decision of the professor of the human capital. It can be built through imports, it can be imported as well. As human capital formation is to be done through conscious policy formulation. Human capital done by the policy of the government, policy of the society, policy of the nation. How people become resources. Now let us discuss this. People become resources by using their skills. What the doctor do, what the teacher do, what the army professionals do. They provide different skills, knowledge, productivity and ability they have. When human resources further developed by developing, becoming more educated and healthy, we call it human capital formation. When the human resources is developed and becoming more educated and healthy, we call the process is human capital formation. Human capital, meaning of human capital formation: it is the process of acquiring, increasing the number of person who have the skills, education and experience, or we can say it's providing skills, education and experience to the human resources. Human capital formation is associated with investment in man and his development as creative and productive resources. It is a investment done in the innovative ideas, or we can say productive resources and so on. Now let us discuss about the sources of human capital formation. Now if we classify the sources of human capital formation, now there are five. Number first, expenditure on education. Second, expenditure on health. On the job training, you might have studied this topic, on the job and off the job, in business study staffing chapter. Expenditure on migration and expenditure on information. These are the five. And tomorrow we'll discuss, in the next class we will discuss about one by one all these three sources of human capital formation. For today, thank you and